Alright, so let's start with an interview.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see the super sequel to Quest for Booty.
Captain, we're ready to get started.
Yes, we're finally at the era where Quark was really starting to look like Buzz Lightyear.
Sort of rolled into my method for accomplishing this brooding stare.
Yes, we'll get into that.
Even
in a
he
second.
knows.
But first, could you comment on the disappearance of Clank?
Basically, this sequence serves to recap the events of the previous two games for those who didn't play them, which I don't think it's really that necessary. You could have just, actually recapped the origin of the trilogy, but what do I know?
Geo, it's absolutely essential that people know the very lore of Quest for Booty.
I thought we were here to talk about my new holo film, My Blaster Runs Hot.
Also, I see that Quark's getting a bit of karma at the point where people are more concerned about Ratchet and Clank than him.
All right. It began a couple of years ago.
Years? How much time has passed?
I was my post as chief volunteer at the Planetary Defense Center when a deadly space armada began attacking Metropolis. Naturally, I could have handled the matter myself, but I was compelled to escort a group of underprivileged orphans to safety. I contacted Ratchet and Clank and deputized them to act in my stead. We soon learned that a vile tyrant named Percival Tachyon had amassed a large army and set his sights on destroying the galaxy's thriving Lombax population.
Wow, everything he says is a lie. And that's a lie too, damn it!
There's I'm shading the fact that Quark actually, because, Quark saw Angela, so yeah, that's the reason why we doubted that. I guess you can chuck it up to, the media doesn't know.
Zoni were giving Clank new abilities, including laser arms.
But they were doing more than just giving him abilities, weren't they?
Well, there was something about premonitions and yada yada yada, but the heart of the story is here with old CQ. Using my keen intellect and deceptive skills, I planted myself within the Emperor's ranks and tracked down the Dimensionator.
Which you promptly delivered into the hands of Tachyon, enabling him to release the Kragmite Scourge.
A mere bump on the road to victory, my friend. We still destroyed Tachyon, banished the Kragmites, and saved the galaxy. But then, in a shocking final twist, the very beings Clank claimed to have aided him snatched him from the Apogee space station, never to be seen or heard from again.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Ratchet discovered his location in an uncharted
there you
system
go.
on the edge of the galaxy.
There's your Quest for Booty recap.
By Doctor Nefarious.
I love how
that one bit.
They don't even mention the Ghost Pirates, damn.
Which, by the way, you have yet to ask about.
Although, that being said, they immediately show that Nefarious is involved, so... I guess Quest for Booty was the way to get a more ceremonious reveal of Nefarious.
You have to let a few of those babies go to voicemail, Kidding. Had you for a second. Of course I'm going to help Clank. Me and Ratchet.
Sure, buddy.
Hello? Call to arms? Just kidding. It's my assistant. Roll! Fire up the ship and call Ratchet. I've got a hero to save.
But you haven't finished the interview.
Dwibs,
Probably wanted to embarrass himself. So anyway,
Dwibs,
more officially, welcome. Yeah, also be able to have Nefarious in the Somniac logo. Interesting. Welcome properly to Ratchet and Clank, A Crack in Time. I would like to preface this by giving you a reminder. As far as Insomniac knew, up until this game was fully released, they were considering this to be properly the last major Ratchet and Clank game, the conclusion of the whole saga, to the idea that, despite Quest for Booty being very short, that the future saga would be a trilogy, basically. Keep this information in mind as the game goes on in its entirety.
I'm sorry, I already boggle at them considering it a trilogy with Quest for Booty, because
also, I have to be honest, I don't particularly like the 2D chibi-fied version or representation of Ratchet. I like the idea in concept, but it reminds me a lot of corporate Memphis stuff.
I swear, one of them looked like he was straight out of Parappa the Rapper.
Interesting enough, we started with a recap, but mentioning of Clank from a narrator. We'll meet his character later, and they just say that this voice actor is someone we know, but I don't want to tell you yet, so please.
But to be precise, he was created much farther away. My
Far,
son's
far
name
away.
is XJ0461, but the universe knows him as Clank.
So yeah, similar to what we saw at the end of the quest for Booty, Clank is technically prisoner in this black-ass crystal prison, with Nefarious being the one that orchestrated things. Why? Well, we're about to find out.
Sir, the Zoni are
And yes, both Armin Shimmerman and Michael Bell reprised the roles.
How much longer must we pretend to be friends with those
As you can see also, Nefarious has a bit of a redesign. The body proportions and the angular stuff is the same, it's the coloring different.
Stand by for sisterboard scan.
Alright, let's see. Favorite colors green, favorite numbers 83 billion and 4.7, blah blah blah.
Access denied. Neural safeguard activated.
The Zonis, I think, are voiced by Richard Stephen Horowitz, I think.
Again, it's in here, Lawrence. Somewhere in this brain lies the key to the Orvis chamber.
No, Orvis chamber.
Your zoniness. If we could take but a peek at the chamber.
No, Orvis chamber. Chamber is for sire only.
Very well. Then I think it's time our partnership came to an end. Say hello to...
Oh
Not the
no.
hypersonic brainwave scrambler.
the hypersonic...
And because this is an end of 2000 game, of course, it's dubstep.
Apologies, sir. I should have mentioned the equipment is
Thank you, Lawrence. How could we do without you?
Backup generator activated.
He's awake. Stop him!
So yeah, we started, probably to compensate with Quest for Booty, we started by controlling Clank.
Neat.
So yeah, for starters you can kind of tell how much more of a budget there was in these because they try to ramp up more the set pieces by having to start with all this shit falling around you, there's chaos everywhere and you have to rely on your instincts, you know. The problem is that you're about to hear, the sound mixing is not super optimal. While I can still relatively hear what the characters are saying, if there is stuff going on like explosion, it's a bit hard to properly understand. And also, like the boom comment that you mentioned before, Jova, it will become basically to a boiling point at one later part where I will actually have to tone it down because otherwise the game will be too bright.
Okay, so I'm guessing the bloom thing is a thing native to this game because, again, I remember those cutscenes from Tools of Destruction definitely not being as bright as they are in this game.
Alright, so now it's basically time for just a simple tutorial. Classic, you know, camera control stuff, which is neat in how it's integrated, admittedly. Also, this particular robot that is helping you to escape, if you have a keen hearing, you probably recognize the fact that it's voiced by Nolan North. Again, as I mentioned multiple times, the guy, even when he tries to make a different impression, he basically outs himself every time he has to scream. But I have to admit that he's actually genuinely trying to do something different instead of being, you know, Nathan Drake's voice clone number 55, as he was doing with a lot of games at the time.
I remember for a few years before this, he was the voice of Engine in the Crash games.
Yeah.
And I'll give him credit, he definitely steps outside of his usual wheelhouse when he's voicing Dr. Engine.
Alright then, so, as I mentioned, we're basically in complete chaos. And if I recall correctly, we're about to explain now that the Zonies are also, you know, living in mass this location. It will also give an excuse to have the Zonies being one of the collectibles that you get in this game, believe it or not.
Also, dang, the bloom is so bad that even the collectibles seem too shiny.
So yeah, also as mentioned in the dialogue, in case you were wondering, yes, the entire reason the Zoni acted the way they did in Tools of Destruction was because Nefarious ordered them to do it. Why would he do such a thing instead of having a more direct approach? That's what we're here to find out in this game. I do believe that there was enough of a pre-planning in that kind of sense. I know you asked this question, you know, a while ago, Jova. Especially because, again, they were clearly planning this story in advance and keeping the same writer about it. So I can't believe it.
As for why they were helping Ratchet and Clank, I can totally buy that Nefarious would be like, oh no. Takian doesn't get to control the universe, only I get to control the universe.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's mentioned directly, but it's at least strongly implied that at least Nefarious wanted to, you know, have Takian out of the way to have, you know, a potential rival being, you know, out in the picture.
This would also explain why he would have ordered the Zoni to only appear towards Clank, since he probably wouldn't want, you know, the others getting too suspicious of things, since, let's be honest, Clank is very smart, but he can take a lot of stuff at face value. Ratchet is the more skeptical of the two, so Ratchet might have asked a few more questions that might have clued in that something was up with the Zoni. By the last time that they did show up, though, they probably didn't care, because by that point it was to take Clank in, basically.
Maybe I'm doing the question, where are we? Or more importantly, when are we? But you'll learn that all in due time, yes.
Yeah. But, oh god, seriously, this balloon, Jesus, I feel like I need to wear sunglasses playing this game. Like, I don't know, like, oh, okay, I get that there was a complaint that a lot of games were too dark, gritty, and lacking color, but I didn't ask for the exact opposite, guys.
So that's all Bomberman Act Zero needed, some blue.
Alright, I might as well mention this now. There's also a change in composing because unfortunately David Virgil and the future composer for the Hitman games are not here anymore. I don't remember who they got replaced with. Whoever, you know, this new composer is, they do a decent enough job. You know, in creating the atmosphere. It's nothing that I will
say. Named Boris Salchow.
Okay, what is his pedigree?
Let's just have a look. He's a German composer who lives in Los Angeles.
Okay.
He did some stuff in the maybe stuff for like TV with the odd game here and there. Like he did additional music for Rainbow Six Vegas 2. He was a additional composer for the Taken TV show, His Dark Materials, and as for main composing, before this he did Resistance 2.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that explains things. Anyway, it looks like we might have reached the end of the line. Literally.
Why don't you have the jam with your helicopter?
The Nefarious literally almost said the do a flip meme.
Known you were behind this. Where have you taken me?
You don't recognize it? This is your home! The Great Clock! A marvel of science and sorcery, engineered by the brightest Zoni in all of existence, and constructed in the exact center of the universe! Give or take 50 feet.
Okay.
I am What lie did you tell the Zoni in your quest for vengeance?
Vengeance? You think I went to all this trouble for mere vengeance?
Yes.
You are pretty petty.
Let's just say it's all in the past. Lawrence!
Right here, sir.
Ready the orb of gratuitous immobilization.
Damn.
Again, Clank, why didn't you actually jump? You have a helicopter that allows you to fly.
However, Nefarious has kind of an idea on how to do things.
We have all the time.
I will say this, at the very least, the way this cutscene ends, it hooks you immediately in.
It does, yes. Okay, I'll give him points at least. If you're gonna have this be the last game, then yes, it makes sense to establish that Nefarious was indeed the worst threat that Ratchet and Clank had, so it at least gets points there as supposedly being the finale of the series.
So yeah, things are about to, well, be entangled in time. But however, we will actually instead reconvene with Ratchet next time and see what happens. See ya.
I
Yeah.